Hello everybody, Miss La-di-da here, and today I am going to be talking about a woman who helped kickstart the makeup industry, and that is Elizabeth Arden. Now, what made me interested in Elizabeth Arden was when I was doing my research for Revlon, and I came across this, and I was like, oh yeah, Elizabeth Arden. I had heard the name before, and I knew of her elegance and her sophistication, but I had no idea exactly who she was. And so I decided I wanted to dig deeper into this fascinating woman and know more about her. Because in my eyes, like I said before, she was one of the pioneers for the cosmetic industry. So I want to know more about this fascinating woman. So this one's going to be a long one, you guys, but it's also very interesting. So, having said that, grab your comfy chair and maybe your blankie and your favorite drink and your favorite snack and open your ears and let me spin you a tale about Elizabeth Arden. Elizabeth Arden, born Florence Nightingale Graham, was born December 31st, 1881, and she passed away October 18th, 1966. Was a Canadian-American businesswoman who founded what is now Elizabeth Arden Incorporated and built a cosmetics empire in the United States. By 1929, she owned 150 salons in Europe and the United States. Her 1,000 products were being sold in 22 countries. She was the sole owner, and the peak of her career, she was one of the wealthiest women in the world. Arden was born on New Year's Eve, 1881, in Woodbridge, Ontario, Canada. Her parents had immigrated to Canada from Cornwall, United Kingdom, in the 1870s. Her father, William Graham, was Scottish, and her mother, Susan Tadd, was Cornish, and had arranged for a wealthy aunt in Cornwall to pay for her children's education. Arden dropped out of nursing school in Toronto. She then joined her elder brother in Manhattan, working briefly as a bookkeeper for the E.R. Squibb Pharmaceuticals Company. While there, Arden spent hours in their lab learning about skincare. She then worked again briefly for Eleanor Adair, an early beauty culturist, as a treatment girl. In her salons and through her marketing campaigns, Elizabeth Arden stressed teaching women how to apply makeup and pioneered such coordinating colors of eye, lip, and facial makeup. Elizabeth Arden was largely responsible for establishing makeup as proper and appropriate, even necessary, for a ladylike image, when before makeup had often been associated with lower classes and prostitutes. She targeted middle-aged and plain women for whom beauty products promised a youthful, beautiful image. Arden was allegedly a dedicated suffragette, and there is a story that she marched for women's rights in 1912. It is a popular fiction that she supplied the marchers with red lipstick as a sign of solidarity, but there is little contemporary evidence supporting this. Women taking part in the 1912 march were advised to wear the same $7 straw hat, wear white, and to bring their children to demonstrate their responsibility and simplicity. The use of cosmetics was never mentioned, which is hardly surprising. Bold red lipstick still had tawdry associations with the theater. Even as late as 1920, Arden herself was dismissive of powder and rouge, so obvious in their artifice that their use was considered in questionable taste. That was a quote from Arden. Career. In 1909, Arden formed a partnership with Elizabeth Hubbard, another culturist. The business relationship dissolved in 1910. Graham, who desired a trade name, used Elizabeth to save money on her salon signs. She chose the last name Arden from a nearby farm, so the trade name Elizabeth Arden was formed. From there, Arden founded, in 1910, the Red Door Salon in New York, which has remained synonymous with her name ever since. In 1912, Arden traveled to France to learn beauty and facial massage techniques used in the Paris beauty salons. She returned with a collection of rouges and tinted powders she had created. She began expanding her international operations in 1915 and started opening salons across the world. In 1934, she opened the Maine Chance Residential Spa in Rome, Maine, the first destination beauty spa in the United States. It operated until 1970. In 1962, the French government awarded Arden the Légion d'honneur in recognition of her contribution to the cosmetics industry. An advocate for women's rights, she once marched with 15,000 fellow suffragettes, I hope I'm saying that right, wearing red lipstick as a symbol of strength, and developed cosmetics for women serving in the military during the Second War. Horse racing. Elizabeth Arden was involved in the sport of thoroughbred racing for many years. Her stable, Maine Chance Farm, owned, among other stakes winners, the 1947 Kentucky Derby winner Jet Pilot. Death. Arden died at Lenox Hill Hospital in Manhattan on October 18, 1966. She was interred in the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery in Sleepy Hollow, New York, under the name Elizabeth N. Graham. In popular culture, the musical War Paint dramatizes her rivalry with competitor Helena Rubinstein. After a successful tryout at Chicago's Goodman Theater, the show opened on Broadway at the Nederlander Theater on April 6, 2017, earning 4 Tony Award nominations, including Best Actress in a Leading Role for Christine Eberson's portrayal of Arden, as well as for Patti LuPone for her role as rival Rubinstein, and closed on November 5, 2017. The comedy Lip Service by the Australian dramatist John Misto chronicles the life and career of Helena Rubinstein and her rivalry with Elizabeth Arden and Revlon. Lip Service premiered April 26, 2017 at the Park Theatre in London under the title Madame Rubinstein, before opening at Sydney's Ensemble Theatre in August of the same year. Elizabeth Arden as a student nurse Florence Nightingale Graham appeared in the Season 12, Episode 2 of the CBC period drama Murdoch Mysteries, portrayed by Catherine Alexander. A contract dispute that Arden faced with a former employee led the 1953 court case Crabtree versus Elizabeth Arden Sales Corporation, which is now considered a seminal case on the application of the statute of frauds. Most law schools include this case in their required contract law course. So let's talk about that rivalry between Elizabeth Arden and Helena Rubinstein. The eccentric cosmetics entrepreneur Helena Rubinstein once said of her rival Elizabeth Arden, quote, "With her packaging and my product, we could have ruled the world," unquote. Too bad they hated each other's guts. They avoided each other and wouldn't even refer to one another by name, said Douglas Wright, who wrote War Paint, a new Broadway musical, which right now I am actually reading the book called War Paint that the musical is based on. It was either the other woman or that dreadful woman. Rubinstein and Arden ruled the cosmetics industry in the first half of the 20th century, but their rivalry was anything but pretty. Throughout their 50-year battle, the beauty queens stole one another's employees, copied each other's products, and threw all sorts of shade. Their combative relationship inspired quite a few cosmetic breakthroughs, including the first waterproof mascara, and helped them earn millions at a time when women were just getting the right to vote. The two never actually met each other, but lived and worked blocks apart from one another. Arden and Rubinstein were hard-working, larger-than-life social climbers. Both were immigrants who came from nothing. Arden, born Florence Nightingale Graham in 1878, was a Canadian farm girl. Rubinstein, born 1872, a poor Polish Jew whose parents shipped her off to Australia when she started seeing an unsuitable fellow. Arden arrived in the Big Apple first, opening her salon in 1910. New York society women went crazy for her face creams, sold in pretty pink pots. So, when Rubinstein, a 4'10" dynamo whose exotic accent, ostentatious jewels, and tall tales seduced the fashion press, brought her Australian brand to New York 5 years later, Arden got territorial. She moved her salon from 42nd to 54th Street, 5 blocks away from Rubinstein's new shop, and painted the door bright red to send a message. This was war, but also to stand out amongst several other stores in the area. When Arden launched her first mascara in the 30s, Rubinstein worked overtime to develop a waterproof version. When Arden came out with her best-selling Bluegrass perfume in 1934, Rubinstein retaliated shortly after with Heaven Sent, which she announced by dropping 500 balloons from the roof of Fifth Avenue department store Bonwit Teller. Things got heated in 1937 when Arden poached Rubinstein's top HR guy, who brought 11 defectors with him. Rubinstein got even by hiring Arden's ex-husband as her publicist. Wow. It was a way to sting, said documentarian Grossman. The ways they battled each other were sly and sophisticated, more elegant than name-calling, said Wright. It was... Oh, sorry, pages are stuck together. It was two high-powered executives going at one another. No one's tearing off the other's wig, unquote. When Rubinstein, then 66, married Prince Archil Gulieri Tekhanoya, I think I just butchered that name, an impoverished Russian aristocrat, 23 years her junior, Arden was so blinded with jealousy over her rival's new title of princess that she went out and got herself her own royal beau, who ended up being a charlatan. They both wanted to be the queen bee, said biographer Lindy Woodhead, whose book, also called War Paint, inspired the new musical, which is the book I'm reading right now, and so far it is really good. If the two women did happen to be at the same party, she added, some poor hapless young editor had to keep Madame Rubinstein at an arm lock on one end of the room, and another had to do the same with Miss Arden on the other, so they didn't meet in the middle of the room and start a catfight. Yet while their constant competition allowed these two moguls to scale new heights, it also blinded them to other threats. By the 1950s, Charles Revson had skyrocketed to fame and fortune with his Revlon nail polish, which the two older women had dismissed as vulgar. Some other upstarts who weren't afraid of youthful, sexy advertisements or TV were eclipsing Rubinstein and Arden and their old-fashioned ways. Still, the cosmetics titans battled to the death, clinging to their companies through the mid-60s. When Rubinstein passed away in 1965 at the age of 92, Arden, who would die 18 months later at age 89, couldn't help but gloat. Poor Helena, she sighed to a reporter who noted that Arden's voice was sad, but her eyes were triumphant. Okay, so let's talk about Elizabeth and Revlon. September 7th, 2016. Revlon Incorporated is pleased to announce the successful completion of the Elizabeth Arden acquisition. The transaction creates a global beauty company with a strong portfolio of leading brands, including Revlon, Elizabeth Arden, Revlon Color Silk, Revlon Professional, and American Crew, among the designer, heritage, and celebrity fragrance brands such as Juicy Couture, John Varvatos, Wild Fox Couture, Curve, Elizabeth Taylor, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Giorgio Beverly Hills, and Jennifer Aniston. The combined company will continue to operate with Revlon Inc. as the parent company, which will continue to be listing on the New York Stock Exchange under the REV ticker symbol. On June 16, 2016, Revlon agreed to acquire all of the outstanding shares of Elizabeth Arden for $14 per share in cash, representing an enterprise value for Elizabeth Arden of approximately $870 million. The closing of the transaction follows the approval by Elizabeth Arden stockholders and a vote held earlier that day. Elizabeth Arden's common stock ceased trading on the Nasdaq stock market following the market close on September 7, 2016, and will no longer be listed on the Nasdaq stock market. In connection with closing the transaction, Revlon entered into a new $1.8 billion senior secured term loan facility and a new $400 million senior secured asset-based revolving credit facility. In addition, the net proceeds from the previously completed private offering of $450 million aggregate principal amount of 6.25% senior unsecured notes due 2024 were released from escrow in connection with closing the transaction. Revlon used the funds released from escrow together with the borrowings under the new credit facilities and cash on hand to fund the acquisition and terminate and refinance its previously existing term loan and asset-based revolving credit facilities, as well as all of Elizabeth Arden's indebtedness. Revlon will continue to be led by Mr. Fabian Garcia as the president and chief executive officer. Blech. That was kind of boring. In closing, I can see how Revlon would have wanted to consume Arden as it was doing well at that time, and Revlon was starting to struggle. Revlon has a history of bad money decisions, and now I feel like it's coming to bite them in the butt. Revlon is not the only cosmetics company to struggle. I feel like their time is limited before they will be completely unable to fill demand. A lot of companies in general are facing hard times right now, but it saddens me that Revlon took Arden. After doing all the research I have done on the two companies, I have to admit I lost some respect for Revlon and gained some for Arden. Revlon became, in my mind, a huge bully in the cosmetics world, while Arden stayed standalone and meek, elegant, and class. Revlon, in my mind, is this bull in a china shop coming to destroy all the little guys, so to speak. I'm pretty sure Arden wouldn't have been able to hold its own in this economy, but who knows? Maybe with some creative backing and a strong will, with the right people in the right jobs, they could have rebranded and kept Miss Arden's legacy alive. Yep. It's so interesting how the two just combined, Charles Revson was a huge enemy of Arden back in the 1953, and he just kind of stayed silent and let Arden and Rubenstein fight it out. But meanwhile, he was plotting this whole time. And eventually, his company has taken over. It's sad. A sad, sad tale in the makeup industry. And unfortunately, these are sad times, yes, but even more sad for the cosmetic industry because a lot of companies are struggling right now. And I like I mentioned in the episode about Revlon, Makeup Geek is no more, and I loved Makeup Geek products. But she just couldn't keep up with these whole supply and demand issues and, throwing COVID in there and, everybody working from home. No one needed to buy makeup. So it's sad. And I feel like this is just the beginning. I have a feeling. So get out there and buy makeup. I'm just kidding. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, and like I said, right now I'm currently reading the book called War Paint, written by Lindy Woodhead. It's really good so far. And this book just talks about the rivalry between Arden and Rubenstein. So you should definitely check it out. It's a pretty good book. I'd like to see the musical sometime. That would be really cool. All right, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And what are your thoughts about Elizabeth Arden Cosmetics? Let me know down in the comment section below. I've never personally used Elizabeth Arden products, but Reading through all this and everything and doing all this research really made me want to, actually. So I may look into that. So, all right, you guys. Thank you so much. Ta ta for now.